lion cub, a monstrous python, and a lone gorilla. It began like any other day on the African plains, calm, golden, and deceptively peaceful. At first glance, it was just another innocent moment in the wild. A cub chasing shadows in the tall grass, its family resting nearby, unaware of the silent threat slithering closer with each heartbeat. But what followed shattered every expectation, because out of the acacia grove, not a lion, not a ranger, but forgotten guardian charged into the chaos. What he did next left even the fiercest predators frozen in disbelief. And yet, that was only the beginning. Because after the rescue, the lion pride made a decision that shocked everyone, even the rangers. Watch closely. This is not just a story of survival. It is a moment that rewrote the unspoken laws of the wild. The grassland stretched wide and endless beneath the golden spill of morning light. Each blade of grass danced with the wind, swaying like waves in a silent ocean of green. Scattered acacia trees stood tall, their flat-topped canopies casting spotted shadows across the dry earth. The sanctuary was alive in stillness, a place untouched by time, where instinct ruled and nothing was guaranteed. Near a shallow dip in the land, a lion cub played alone, batting playfully at a grasshopper that darted through the stalks. Its tiny paws moved with clumsy joy, golden for flickering under the sun. It had drifted just beyond the safety of its pride, chasing movement with the curiosity only the young possess. Not far away, the male lion lay stretched beneath a tree, his eyes half closed in the warm light, while the lioness rested close, her ears alert but calm. It was a scene of serenity, a brief illusion of peace, just moments before everything would change. But beyond the cub's playful circle, hidden deep within the whispering grass, something stirred. Low to the ground, unseen by even the sharpest eyes, a thick body moved with eerie calm. Its scales blended perfectly with the earth, a living rope of muscle and instinct. The python had been waiting, silent, patient. Its tongue flickered in and out, tasting the air, reading vibrations only a predator could understand. And the cub, still lost in its game, ventured further, deeper into the grass, farther from the watchful gaze of its pride. A careless leap after the grasshopper landed it near a patch of taller, wilder stalks. Behind it, the grass shifted once, then stilled. From across the plain, the male lion's ear twitched. The lioness lifted her head. Something had changed. A stillness too deep, a silence too sharp. Then came the sound, faint, thin yet piercing. A yelp, short and panicked, like thorns slicing through air. The cub's cry. The lions were on their feet in an instant, instinct snapping into place. The male roared, the sound cracking to the open plain like distant thunder. The lioness paced, her muscles taut, scanning the tall grass. But they couldn't see the cub, and they couldn't see what had taken hold. Beneath the grass, the python's coils closed tighter. The cub squirmed helplessly. Tiny paws pressed against a grip forged by generations of killing precision. The serpent moved with calculated calm, no rush, no mercy, as it squeezed the life from its prey. Its scales shimmered under streaks of sunlight. Its body rippled with cold, unstoppable force. The lion circled the area, growling low, tails lashing. They could hear the struggle, feel the danger, but couldn't reach in without risking the cub's life. Every step closer brought another twitch from the writhing grass, another desperate squeal. The python held firm, unmoved by the roars around it. This wasn't its first kill. It knew hesitation when it saw it. The cub's cries began to fade. Its body now limped between the tightening coils. The lioness growled louder. The male snarled, pawing at the edge of the grass. But they were powerless. The predator was too close to their child, and even one wrong move could end everything. And then, from the tall shadows of the acacia grove, something else moved. From beneath the shaded veil of the acacia grove, a shape emerged, slow, broad, and silent. It was not a lion. It was not a ranger. It was something the savannah had not seen in many moons. His name, though unknown to the pride, was Bakery, a silverback gorilla, alone, aged, and forgotten by the troop he once led. His fur was thick with dust, his back glinting faint silver under the harsh sun, and his eyes, dark, deep, and focused, locked on the source of cries. He had lived in quiet solitude since human conservationists had relocated his family years ago, leaving him behind in this vast wilderness. Days came and went like wind through grass. He had watched the lions before. He had seen the cub from afar. But this was different. He had heard the struggle. He had felt it. And now he moved. At first, it was just a step, careful, almost cautious. Then another. His knuckles brushed the earth as he crossed the open ground. The wind tugged gently at the grass around him, as if parting to clear his path. The lions paused, eyes shifting toward the movement. The python did not. It continued its grim ritual, tightening further with mechanical precision. But Bakery was no longer slow. His pace quickened, weight rolling forward like a coming storm. His fists pounded rhythmically against his chest, not as a challenge, but a warning, a call to life, a call to courage. And then he charged. A blur of dark muscle and determination, Bakery tore through the field, his breath sharp, his body solid as stone. The lion snarled, momentarily confused. They did not understand what was happening. This was not his fight. This was not his kind. But he didn't stop. The python began to sense something. Its coils twitched. Its head lifted, tongue flickering in midair. But by then, the guardian had arrived. Bakery didn't hesitate. He lunged straight into the coils, his powerful hands wrapping around the thick, shifting body of the python. The serpent recoiled in surprise, its head snapping back with a sharp hiss. But the gorilla was already locked in, feet planted, shoulders braced, eyes blazing. With a grunt that rippled through the earth, he pulled. The python resisted. Its coils tightened even more, forcing a shallow gasp from the lion cub. The cub's body twitched, trapped in a death grip forged from instinct and years of survival. The gorilla gritted his teeth, sinew trembling in his arms as he heaved again. His breath came in short, thunderous bursts. Dust kicked up around them. Grass bent violently in all directions. It was no longer a fight. It was a test of will. The python thrashed, its body thrumming like a wire under tension. It lashed once, striking out at Bakery's shoulder. The blow landed hard. He grunted, staggered, but he did not let go. Instead, he growled, deep and primal, a sound not of rage, but of refusal to allow death to win. Inch by inch, the coils began to slip. The gorilla's fingers dug deeper. His feet shuffled for leverage. Muscles surged. And finally, with one final wrench, the python's grip loosened. The lion cub slid free, collapsing into grass, barely moving but still breathing. Its tiny chest rose and fell, shallow but steady. Life had returned, however fragile. The python hissed again, twisting to strike a second time. But it didn't. Something in Bakery's stance, something in the unwavering stillness of that massive silverback, made it pause. There was no fear in his eyes, only warning. Defeated. The serpent uncoiled completely and slipped back into the undergrowth, vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. No triumph, no revenge, just survival. Bakery stood over the cub for a moment, chest heaving, his arms slack but ready. The male lion stepped forward, his eyes narrow, ears pinned. The lioness growled low from the other side, but Bakery didn't flinch. He turned his back to them, not in arrogance but in peace, and began walking slowly toward the trees, a shadow returning to where it came from. For a long moment, no one moved. The grass, once thrashed and flattened by struggle, now swayed gently as the wind returned. The lion cub lay still, its sides rising with fragile breaths. The pride stood frozen, not in fear, but in confusion. The male lion lowered his head, nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air still thick with tension. The lioness circled wide, her eyes locked not on the python's fading trail, but on the silhouette disappearing into the trees. Bakery didn't look back. There was no triumph in retreat, no need for acknowledgement. His mission was complete. With each step into the shadows of the acacia grove, his presence grew smaller, until he was just a whisper among the trees, a memory already fading into the golden light. From across the plains, the hum of a patrol vehicle broke the stillness. Rangers Daniel and Tar crested the ridge in their dusty truck, binoculars in hand, eyes scanning the horizon. They had heard the roar, Not the rhythm of a hunt, but something raw, something wild. Daniel hit the brakes. Both men stood still, watching. Below them lay a scene they would never forget. The cub, barely conscious, rested in the trampled grass. The python was gone, its patterned scales lost the undergrowth. But between the cub and the horizon walked something impossible, a gorilla. Calm, silent, real. Is that gorilla? Daniel whispered. Target only gnawed, eyes wide. Neither of them moved as Bakery paused for one last moment at the tree line. His gaze turned briefly toward the rangers, unreadable, ancient. Then, like a ghost folding into the forest, he vanished. When the rangers approached, the lions backed off, forming a protective ring around the cub. There were no signs of aggression, only tension, a warning not to get too close. Daniel knelt beside the cub, his trained hands moving gently over its ribs and legs. "Alive," he said softly. "Barely." Tar scanned the surrounding grass. No blood, no kill, just broken earth, a faint trail of thick scales, and something else, enormous knuckle prints pressed deep into the dirt. No one would believe them, but they would try. Back at the ranger station that evening, the air was thick with disbelief. Daniel and Tar sat at the center of a silent room, their words met with raised brows and skeptical glances. A gorilla saving a lion cub? Even among those who had seen the wildest corners of the sanctuary, it sounded impossible. One ranger chuckled dryly. "You sure the heat didn't get to you?" But Daniel didn't argue. He simply showed them what remained. The deep, unmistakable tracks, the torn grass, the small tuft of silver fur caught on a thorn. And of course, the cub, now resting under watch, alive, healing, safe. In the days that followed, the story spread. They began to call him the Guardian. Visitors whispered his name. Locals repeated the tale with wide eyes and quiet reverence. Some said it was nature's way of reminding them that the wild was full of mysteries, not just a survival, but a compassion. Others believed it was more than that, something sacred. A sign that even in a world ruled by tooth and claw, mercy still had a place. And though no one saw Bakery again, signs of his passing remained. Trees gently disturbed, a branch bent where no lion had walked, prints that came and went like echoes. Some swore he still watched from the shadows of the acacia trees, a silent guardian in a land that rarely showed grace. For the lion cub, life returned to games in the grass, watched now with fierce devotion by both the male and female lions. It would never remember the coils, the crushing pressure, or the stranger who came from the trees. But the land remembered. The earth, scarred yet still, held away a moment when instinct paused and something greater took its place. In a world where survival is the only law, a gorilla had done the unthinkable. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. So, what do we take from this? That even in the rawest corners of the world, where predators roam and the rules are written in survival, there can be choices. Choices driven not by instinct, but by heart. In a single moment, strength was not used to dominate, but to defend. A creature built for power used it not to destroy, but to protect. And that is what makes a true guardian. Bakery didn't need applause. He didn't wait for thanks. He simply acted when no one else could. Maybe that's a lesson we forget in our own lives, that true courage isn't loud. It walks quietly, moves boldly, and leaves behind echoes that last forever. In the silence of savannah, a lion cub lives because one unlikely hero chose kindness. If stories like this stir something in your heart, if they remind you that the wild still holds wonders, that compassion can rise where no one expects it, then stay with us. Like, subscribe, and share this journey with someone who still believes in silent legends. Because out here in the wild, the smallest lives are often saved by the quietest heroes.